what's up guys, Diplex here again. Welcome back to Men of War Assault Squad 2 and the start of a brand new series. Super excited to see where this one is going to go. So, the team from Nomos and SEAL Team 9 has just arrived on Mars. The landing site is located a few hours from here. The terrain is quite tricky. And they have just arrived outside Camp Columbus, the mining camp, or the energy extraction site to be exact, that they lost contact with many months ago. So the journey from Earth to Mars by our today's standards in 2018 takes about 300 days. But in this fictional scenario, many years in the future, the rocket technology has been forwarded so much, or has been developed so heavily, that a travel between the Earth and Mars takes about half that time. So we're looking at 150 days of travel. So they've arrived after a very long journey, and it's a fairly small team. But it's about time to start investigating the loss of contact and where all the miners and personnel have gone. I reckon about 8 or 9 people are stationed here. Most of the mining is done automatically by machinery. But there's a small research team, a very small security team, and a few explorers along with a few technicians who run the mining operation. But they're all gone. So the small team from Nomos, assisted by the US government, or the United States Space Command, has just arrived. We're looking at the newly formed SEAL Team 9, intended for space operations, interplanetary operations. So Mars is their first deployment. Very interesting indeed. So we have a few Nomos operatives who are moving up here. Highly trained, elite, private military contractors, now part of a sort of a sub-company to the greater Nomos corporation called Nomos Security. Part of course, Nomos. And they're moving up as well. They're making sure that there's no hostiles present. Now, the satellite footage did not pick up any life forms or any movement of any kind, but the disappearance is certainly strange. Now, there has been a sandstorm here recently, or many months ago. They last for a long time, and as you can tell, they've kind of roughened up the camp a bit. Some things have collapsed, but sandstorms are pretty common on Mars, and they can be quite ruthless. So if you're caught in on the outside without protection, you're gonna get lost or die from it. But so far it's very quiet. The team is not seeing any hostiles or anything out of the ordinary, except for the tipped over equipment and trash cans and whatnot. Yeah, you can definitely tell that a storm has hit here. I think it's clear. I think the Nomos expert technician and overall representative here, part of the operation, can move up now with the rest of the team. So he's going to be making his way to the camp now. So the platoon of SEAL Team Specialists, or Special Forces, are here on behalf of the US government. And technically this is illegal due to the ongoing crisis. Because this is, first of all, also private territory right now, but Mars has been declared a demilitarized zone, so it's illegal internationally for them to be here. So that's why the United States Space Command didn't send any larger troops. They decided that a small and secret covert unit, and a very elite one, would be enough, even if there were to be hostiles on the planet. As far as they are concerned, there very well could be. Chinese, Russian, North Korean, who knows? Earth is in a very unstable state with the ongoing energy crisis. So the Nomos team is moving into the camp now to investigate this further. Meanwhile, 2 SEAL teams are moving out. So a SEAL platoon consists of 16 men, so about half the size of a regular army platoon. And we have 8 men moving out and 8 men remaining here by the cars and the convoy itself, protecting it. So one of the teams are going to be heading for an energy station a little bit further away from the camp, It also collects data from the environment. Perhaps they can see what kind of storm hit the camp or if any other life forms have been detected. And the other team is going to move up for the communications tower to see if it's been disabled or if the storm took it out. And now if that was the case, that could explain why they lost contact, but it doesn't explain why no one's to be seen at the camp. Perhaps they did move out, but it is rather interesting. So they're going to be moving out, and the team is going to continue the investigation inside Camp Columbus. A while later, and one of the two Navy SEAL teams sent outside the camp to investigate two secondary objectives have almost made it there. So this is the objective furthest away from the camp. These guys have been walking now for about 30 minutes, but the objective is only located about 15 minutes away from the camp. Now, the sandstorm that recently appeared has made it a lot harder and slower to get there, and the team has to walk closer to each other because communication is severely limited. Comms don't really get through the storm, so to speak. And you don't want to lose track of each other, because if you lose the team, well, you're almost certainly dead. Mars is pretty big, and we're quite far away from the camp now, so as you can tell, vision is extremely limited. So we're walking to one of the power stations located outside the camp. The other team is securing the radio tower used for communicating with Earth. Perhaps they'll find answers there to why they lost contact with the camp. But the power station that this team is moving to, it hasn't been used or visited for many years probably, because it really serves no purpose anymore. It was installed in 2028 as part of the MOXIE project, used to power MOXIE equipment, so to speak, making air breathable. But it still is very dangerous on Mars. No one here really breathes the air since it's very toxic. And these soldiers here have very advanced helmets with built-in respiratory equipment and everything else you'd need as a modern warfighter, so to speak. Yeah, all the EES industry did actually create a lot of toxins, kind of mining for Ivonium, which was found a while ago, does create a lot of toxins. It's a very powerful material, so to speak, as you can probably understand, almost somewhat nuclear in its capabilities, possessing so much energy if refined properly, which is why it's extremely valuable. People suspect that the material has, or that the discovery of the material has led to the disappearance of the Nomos staff in Camp Columbus. But perhaps we will find answers out here. Or not. We're approaching the station now. The team is moving closer. The SEAL team walks into what one could say is an ambush. Unknown numbers, unknown enemy. They need to get closer to identify. But first they have to combat the threat. If they all die out here, then no one back near Camp Columbus will know what happened, since they don't have communication with the rest of the team. Interesting. Perhaps they knew of the arrival of the team and drove here before the SEAL team could arrive. Some very swift action has killed, completely eliminated the defenders, taking no casualties. Or am I wrong? Have we lost a man? I think we're all fine. They're still clearing the surroundings. They will have to investigate this further. One of the soldiers have to bandage himself. He has been hit. Interesting. What were they doing out here? Did they have something to do with the disappearance of the Nomos staff? Most likely. And they've got a vehicle out here as well. which means they probably have a base somewhere. One of the SEAL team soldiers moved closer to the vehicle. There are markings on it. Interesting. Chinese markings. Interesting. The Chinese. Up here on Mars. Secretly. Upon further inspection, it does look like we lost a soldier. So the SEAL team has taken one casualty during the firefight. He will have to be brought back to base, so to speak. Or the camp. Not much of a base, really, anymore. Let's head back to Camp Columbus to see how the investigation goes, if they can find any clues. This team is eager to share the news. They've found the perpetrators. They're Chinese. China is on Mars. And they are most likely behind the kidnapping or killing of the Nomos staff. And perhaps possibly also, and most likely, stealing the Ivonium shipment, the second shipment. It's very crucial to Earth, and of course also very beneficial to Nomos and the United States of Americas. Interesting. Well, the SEAL team is gonna gather all the equipment, all the tags, perhaps some badges, take proof, or get proof with them back to base that this is an act by China. This needs to be relayed back to Earth, but they have to get back there first. Meanwhile, back at Camp Columbus, Nomos personnel have been searching the camp for clues to what happened to the second shipment of Ivonium and, of course, the staff working here at the energy extraction site. However, the second SEAL team has just returned to camp from the nearby communications tower located just outside the camp out here on the high ground. And they found an answer to one of the questions, one of the many questions they ask themselves right now, and that is how communications were lost. See, wires had been cut, the communications had been sabotaged. But by who? Why would they cut their own comms, am I right? I mean, the staff could have walked out into the sandstorm and died or disappeared, you know? But why would someone cut the wires? A sandstorm doesn't cut wires. Of course, it does damage to the camp, and it has. You can see signs of decay here. Things have fallen over. No one's been here for months, so the camp has definitely started aging in a somewhat worrying way. But there's no signs of violence. Interesting. But little do these guys know about the Chinese special forces that the first SEAL team made contact with just minutes ago outside the camp. Now, they are on their way back here with proof. They need to get back here to camp. They need to get everyone out of here, back to the landing zone, and return to Earth. But during the sandstorm, they can't communicate with each other. You can barely reach anyone over the radio, only if you're in short proximity to the person you're trying to talk to. So everyone here can communicate, but if they try and reach the remaining SEAL Team 9 members back by the convoy, they are going to have a hard time hearing each other. It's so loud with the sandstorm and everything, and vision is extremely limited. You can't even see the camp from here, or just hardly. So this is the moment to act for the Chinese. Now, the Chinese know that if they attack the team during the sandstorm, they might be able to cover their tracks, at least temporarily. Now, they were supposed to kill the first SEAL team moving out for the power station, but since the sandstorm, limited their own visibility, the SEAL team actually caught them somewhat off guard and got the upper hand and killed the Chinese team sent out there to ambush the very SEAL team that just actually killed them. So, now is the time to act. Chinese special forces will be moving in for the camp. It's a pretty daring move. Numbers are most likely going to be somewhat equal, as the Chinese have not committed to Mars with a major force. Oh, we don't want to lose the representative. Good save there by one of the SEAL team members, but he's unfortunately shot down himself. How's it looking down here? The Chinese are attacking from 2 directions. Now, we have no contact with the convoy back here. But survivors from the first SEAL team are making their way into the camp now. That might even alert the soldiers back here who can't even see or hear what's going on. Comms are that limited. Yeah, they're going to engage the Chinese. These are members from the first SEAL team. Down to 2 after just losing someone. And that's going to alert the rest of the SEAL team here. So they're moving in now. That might turn the tide. Let's look back up at camp. The representative is still alive. And so is the security team leader and one of the other contractors. Oh, I see more Chinese special forces alive and active in the area. Oh, what a badass. They've taken casualties, but it looks like they've stopped the attack up here on the northeastern side. Let's head down over here. One American down. Now he's going to get back up and continue the fight. Remember, this is still a Men of War video. It's still a Men of War battle, despite being very focused on story and storytelling in general. But we will be looking at casualties later, detaching ourselves from the story and looking at the combat aspects of the episode. Now, everything alters the future of this series. I haven't designated any set winner or loser, so to speak. Numbers have, for your information, been fairly even throughout the episode, in all aspects and in all situations. So it's up to either of the 2 teams to grab a victory. And right now it looks like the US are about to do that, interestingly enough, despite being somewhat surprised or taken or caught off guard, rather. Interesting indeed. We're going to watch the final standoff between a Navy SEAL Team 9 member and a Chinese soldier, and he's going to be downed as well. They've done pretty well, though. They've killed a lot. So let's take a look at the casualties. We're going to hold in V. We're going to actually mark Nomos and SEAL Team 9 casualties in red, and Chinese Special Forces casualties in yellow. And you can tell we lost a few SEAL Team 9 members out here. 2 out of the remaining 3 from the first SEAL team died back here. So only 1 from the team that made the initial contact survived the action. We've got a few Nomos operatives over here dead. One could call them contractors, but they're like fully employed by the company, and the only company or entity that actually contracts the company is the company itself. So they're not really contractors anymore. The representative and the team leader survived. That's cool. But up here they took 4 casualties. So 1, 2, 3 Nomos security members died up here, and 1 Navy SEAL Team 9 member died, along with several Chinese Special Forces soldiers. So right now, all of this changes episode 2. So I'm not going to be doing any sort of storytelling after an episode. All of that will be done at the start of the next episode. So we're actually gonna leave this just the way it is. Very interesting. We have a few SEAL team members back here sort of doing a perimeter clearance. Interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed this first episode. It was a lot of work for me. And if you guys want to see an episode 2, be sure to like and comment down below. And I'll see you guys soon again. Ciao.